Just 2 days ago, I made a video. It was Friday morning, and the Mariners were coming off of just being swept by the New York Yankees. And the final game of that series, what was hands down this team's worst loss of the season. And truthfully, outside of maybe game one against the Astros in 2022, one of the worst losses that I can remember in a long time for the Seattle Mariners. They were about to go on the road to play what has been probably the best team in baseball and face two of the better pitchers in all of baseball in games one and two. And here we are 2 days later, and I don't think we could be higher on this baseball team than we've been all season. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners sweep the Detroit Tigers in 3 games before the All-Star break. They put up 35 runs in the 3 games. Now that they put up 35 runs, that was in 2 games facing All-Stars Casey Mize and probably the best pitcher in all of baseball in Tarek Skubal. And Jack Flaherty is not, nothing either, who they defeat. Well, I guess they didn't defeat Flaherty today. They defeated the bullpen, and Tigers bullpen that has been pretty solid. And to top it all off, the Mariners get arguably the best pitcher in the draft in Cade Anderson from LSU with the 3rd pick in the MLB draft. Let's start with that. Before we go any further into the game, I am not a draft expert. There are plenty of other channels to go to if you want Cade Anderson information. I'm sure Locked On Mariners has some great stuff. I think they've had Joe Doyle on. I'm sure he's got a good scouting report. I would check Up West Sports with Gavin. I know he is locked into college baseball and high school baseball, so I'm sure he has got a great breakdown, and a lot of other Mariners channels. Anything I tell you about Cade Anderson is just going to be me repeating what I've heard elsewhere, but I don't think there's any other emotion to have but excitement for getting a pitcher that was one of the top arms at LSU, a guy that I believe the Mariners had number one on their board, a guy that I'm sure was a lot of teams number one on their board, and he is going to be a Seattle Mariner. Just a year ago, the pitching prospects in this organization were not great. Now, not really the organization's fault. They graduate a lot of guys. Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Emerson Hancock, guys like that were already up in the big leagues. And now with Chainccia down there, Ryan Sloan's looked fantastic. Logan Evans has taken a step forward. And now you've got Cade Anderson in the mix as well. And a left-handed pitcher. Good is good. I don't think it necessarily matters what hand you are or which hand you throw with. But it's nice to have potentially a dominant left-handed pitcher now in this organization. It's had a ton of great righties. It'll be nice to have a lefty in the mix here and down on the farm. And again, not an expert, but I would imagine with his pedigree pitching at LSU, probably not going to be super long before he's pitching in an MLB uniform. Probably not completely out of the possibility. I don't think he'd be pitching next year, but we've seen guys, right? Like, didn't Skeens make his debut a year after he was drafted? I'm not comparing Anderson to Skeens, but it's not completely crazy next year. Certainly by 2027, you'll see Cade Anderson in the mix. So the Mariners are very fortunate that number 3 draft pick fell into their lap, and they make the most of it. This team has done a really good job in the draft. So really excited to see what Cade Anderson can do. Again, not the guy to give you a scouting report on it. It's just not my expertise. Mine is trying to relate to you guys, getting us through these seasons and everything like that. But as someone with not a lot of expertise, it's hard not to be excited about that. And I will say this, while I don't know a lot about it, and maybe there's some things that can tell you that Cade Anderson's overrated, underrated, if you're going to be negative about that pick, that does seem intentional. Like, that does seem like you're just trying to be negative for the sake of being negative. You can like other guys. I'm not saying that. But to go, I don't see there any reason outside of just doom and gloom to not be excited about that pick. Let's get into the series against the Detroit Tigers. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible, the turnaround from last series to this series. The funny thing was with that Yankee series, I wasn't really mad that they lost the series. Didn't expect to win that Logan Evans game. I thought that was going to be really tough. First game was kind of a mess with the rain delay and everything. Not an excuse. The Yankees dealt with it too, but, it does happen. And had they salvaged that game 3, I would have been okay with 1 out of 3 there. It was just the way they lost it, right? Brian Wu was 6 outs away from history, up by 5 runs, and you lose that ball game. It just doesn't get more devastating. That is a loss for a lot of teams that just hard stop. That's it. You are not coming back from something like that. The Mariners, Dan Wilson and his staff and the players deserve a lot of credit without a day off, getting on the plane, going to Detroit. I don't want to say make up for that loss because that still could come back to bite them. If the Mariners miss the playoffs at the end of the year, we can definitely point to that game and go, if you just would have gotten 6 more outs. But they certainly ease off the pain of it, right? And they end up with a 3-3 road trip. They didn't do it conventionally or how we thought they would do it, but that's fine. That is absolutely fine for Detroit and New York to go 3-3. In fact, you could probably make a case 2-4 was okay on this road trip. 3-3 was good. 4-2 would have been amazing, and then up would have just been phenomenal. But yeah, to go to sweep the Tigers, and not just sweep the Tigers, you beat Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize back to back. Mize is fantastic. When Tarek Skubal's probably the best pitcher in baseball. You've beaten Skubal and Skeens now in back-to-back weeks. And here's the thing, like the Mariners did not really beat Paul Skeens, not taking that win away. What I'm saying is George Kirby beat the Pirates, and then Randy Arozarena hit a home run off a bullpen pitcher. There is nothing wrong with that. That's how you're going to have to beat those teams probably in the playoffs. But they didn't necessarily do anything against Skeens. They beat Tarek Skubal. They put 4 runs up against him in 5 innings. And by the way, Tarek Skubal lost his first 2 starts of the year. He lost to, and I don't put stock into wins losses for pitchers, but it does show how dominant Skubal's been. Lost opening day to the Dodgers. Then he actually lost to, I think it was the Mariners in his second start. Maybe it was might have been his third start. I don't remember for sure, but it was definitely his second loss of the year. Let's just, for the sake of the argument, say it was his second start. He'll make the story sound better. And he didn't pitch poorly, but Luis Castillo outdueled him. That was the last time Tarek Skubal lost a ball game. That was the last time he took an L. 2 of his 3 losses this year are to the Seattle Mariners, and both pretty well deserved. The Mariners did a good job against him in both games. I think they had 3 runs in 5 innings the first time, and then 4 runs in 5 innings this time. And then they poured on against the Tigers bullpen in that game. Cal Raleigh, again, just incredible. 2 more home runs on Friday. Now 38 on the season. He does end up missing out, tying Barry Bonds for most home runs by a catcher at the All-Star break, but just an incredible first half for Cal Raleigh. What a game on Friday. And every time you think that maybe he's slowing down a little bit, he just doesn't. He just comes back with a 2 home run game. And truthfully, even today, he had 3 walks. He was on base 3 out of his 5 at-bats. I'm mad at AJ Hinch for walking him in that last at-bat. AJ, it was 7-4. You weren't coming back, dude. Pitched the dumper, but whatever. Yesterday, I mean, truthfully, had that wind not been blowing in a little bit from right field, Cal might have had 1 or 2 home runs on Saturday. He was close. So, I mean, and listen, that happens. Everybody's got a couple of those. But just the first half that Cal Raleigh had, just absolutely incredible. Julio is hot. Word to the wise to the rest of the American League. Do not let Julio Rodriguez get hot, because when Julio's locked in, this lineup is really, really dangerous. And you saw it this week. Blasting Casey Mize on Saturday for 6 runs in 3 innings. Hitting a Tigers bullpen today and crushing it that's been solid. Truthfully, in today's game, they should have had more runs. They left the bases loaded, nobody out twice, and they still scored 8 runs today. They could have had 10 runs again for the 3rd straight game, 10 or more runs with farting up with the bases. They could have grounded into double plays and had 10 runs. Kind of like that Rangers game a few weeks ago in that Friday game when they scored 7. They could have had 12 or 13. I don't know if they could have had 12 or 13 today, but 10 or 11, it's not like, oh, they had bases loaded 2 outs or something. Like, yeah, you can't get on that too much. They had bases loaded, nobody out. A couple ground outs, and they have 10 or 11 runs in this baseball game today. Even in the 9th inning, they had a runner at third, nobody out, who they didn't get home technically when Cal got there. So, I mean, they could have had 11 just for doing nothing, literally just putting the ball in play in a couple instances. Just absolutely phenomenal turnaround. And of course, right, it's right after I go on my rant in a video and talk about how, I don't know what this team is, and maybe they do sell. Maybe it is just going to be that kind of team that's not good enough, and they can't make any noise of this and everything like that. And I don't know if I did or not, but I think I did hint that watch them go out and beat Tarek Skubal tonight because it'd be very Mariners to do it. But, one thing I did say about this team in the video, and this isn't like, oh, see, I was kind of right. I have been wrong so many times. So I will never be the I'm right guy unless it's something that maybe I just get so dunked on that I can't help it. But I have said that this team is capable. One thing I have been true to, and I know people are venting it a lot of times in the comments and on Twitter, but people say this team's awful. And I've stayed true that they're not. They're not bad. At no point this year has this been a bad baseball team. They've been average to above average. And when you have teams like that, you are capable of those dreadful losses because you're just not good enough to hold every single one of them. The game on Thursday against the Yankees, now Brash, Munoz, Wu should be good enough, but you know what I mean. When you're a team that's kind of like, if this is average and you're doing a lot of this, you are capable of losing those games and sometimes playing here. Well, that also means that if you're capable of playing here, you're capable of playing here. That's what they did in Detroit. They are capable of this. This is a streaky team. They are capable of sweeping the Detroit Tigers. I don't think this means they're better than Detroit by any means, but it also doesn't mean that the Orioles are better than the Mariners by coming in and sweeping them. It's just kind of what this team is. This is in them. It is in them to play very good baseball. This offense has a ton of talent. The pitching wasn't amazing this weekend. In fact, I would actually say it was kind of poor. It's kind of poor all road trip outside of Brian Wu in New York. The offense actually in New York was fine, to be perfectly honest. Game one, only 3 runs, but then they scored 6 and 5. The offense actually, what did they end up putting up? 35, 46, 49 runs here in this road trip. They were phenomenal. This pitching staff, when locked in, does have a ton of upside with Wu, Gilbert. Don't need to know all the names. You guys know this rotation. Even the bullpen, which probably was the worst part of the team this series. Even the bullpen, when locked in, Spire, Munoz, Brash, even Bizardo, Vargas, it is a very capable bullpen. There is potential for this. You see both, right? You can just see both sides with the team. After that Yankees series, when people come on like myself and rant, or people in the comments go, Jay, this team's got no chance, or I go, I don't know what this team is anymore. You see why people feel that way. You absolutely see it. And it makes sense. You go, yeah, why did I think this team was a lock for the playoffs? Then you see series like this and you go, is it that crazy that when people say like, I don't know, I think if this team gets hot, they could make a run at the AL West still, or even in the American League. And they play like this, and you see why people think that. And you go, it is possible. Now, I don't expect them to play this good, obviously that they played in Detroit, but you do see the possibilities and the capabilities of this baseball team. I don't know what to put my finger on it. I am so pumped and super happy with this series in Detroit. They've just got to find a way to find that consistency. They're a game and a half up now on a playoff spot. They're 5 back of Houston. Houston is really banged up. There's a good chance. I don't know if we're going to see Yordan Alvarez. He's had a setback and some stuff there. Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez is a loaded 1-2 punch. That alone might be enough. You play Houston to start the second half of the year. Take 2 out of 3. I'm not saying they're going to. You never know, but do it and get this to 4. You can chip away at 4 over August and September. We're going to be in mid-July. By August 1st, get it to 3. By August 25th, get it to 2 and game on. Easier said than done, of course, obviously. But it's not like 5 is completely insurmountable here. And you're not sitting between a bunch of teams. It's not like you're 5 back with the A's and Rangers both ahead of you or something like that. It's mano a mano. Now, Texas could sneak back into it too, but it's you versus them. Mariners play the Astros 6 more times. You go 4-2, boom, that's 2 right there, and you're 3 back. Maybe you get lucky, go 5-1. Who knows? It could go the other way too. Mariners could get swept by Houston and we throw this division away again, like we kind of have been. But it's not done. It's not done yet. You will have opportunities playing Houston 6 times to get back into this division, which if they haven't already. So Houston kind of scuffling a bit going into the All-Star break. So, and again, like we know what Cal's doing. Is Julio finally getting it going here? Julio raises his WRC plus from 98 on Friday to now 110, to now a hitter that is 10% above average on the season with the elite defense. And I'm telling you, Julio glided on the base pass this week too. Not like he seems he seemed locked in. He really did. I mean, and we know he's capable of this, right? We have seen these streaks. I'm also going to give Julio a lot of credit for not going to the All-Star game this weekend or this week and kind of saying he didn't come out directly and say it, but kind of implied like just wants to work on some things and help the ball club win. By the way, congrats to Randy Rosarena for heading to the All-Star game. Very quietly deserving it if you look at Randy's numbers. But I really admire Julio for that. He could have gone. He was picked to go by the coaches and players, right? I think that's who does the picks it after the fans voting. He had every right to go. We can disagree that he should have been there, but he had every right to go. He deserved that spot based on how it turned out, right? Like we can disagree with outcomes, but it is what it is. But he didn't. He was humble enough to kind of say somebody else should go, and then he has his best series of the year. Could just be a coincidence. It easily could be. Or maybe Julio's getting dialed in a little bit here because I'm telling you, you look at this lineup today and you go, man, it's tough to beat. JP at the top, Julio doing what he's doing in the 2-hole. Cal, even though like not a lot of hits, the fear factor getting 3 walks today. Randy is absolutely been dialed in now for like 3 weeks. I mean, he's up to what, 17 homers? The guy was sitting at like 6 or 7 2 weeks ago. He is on a tear. Luke Raley had a big 3-run home run yesterday, and he really hasn't gotten going yet. He's been kind of streaky. Dom Canzone has been locked in. Mitch Garver has been so much better. Is he great? No, but gets the home run today. He's capable. Mitch Garver isn't coming up anymore and us going, well, there goes that. Like, he's coming up and you're having some hope. Same with Solano. Has Solano cooled off a bit since his really hot streak a couple weeks ago? Yes, but he gets the triple. I think he had another base hit and a walk on Friday on base 3 times against Skubal. Like, he is capable. He's not a black hole. Jorge Polanco doesn't start today, comes off the bench, boom, essentially game-winning home run off Canley in the 9th inning. I mean, that's incredible to be able to just, and I know Polanco's not normally on the bench. He was off today because of a lefty on the mound, but just have a guy like that can come in that is a more than capable hitter. Maybe Dylan Moore gets back going against left-handed pitching a little bit. You know who's kind of locked in right now? Cole Young. Hit a double yesterday, 109, 110 off the bat. Homers today, opposite field base hit against the lefty. The home run was crushed. His OPS up to 652. And Williamson and Cole Young, I repeat this all the time, but kind of giving you enough at the bottom of the order. Ben Williamson had a great day yesterday, 0 for 3 today. Yesterday, he had, I think, 3 hits, against the Tigers and drove in a couple runs. It's just a team that is really, when you look at the lineup, and of course, like, yes, most lineups when everybody's dialed in look a lot better, but there's not a lot of lineups that do look that good when you talk about it. Now, I'm talking about everybody at their best, right? Like, so obviously it's going to sound better, but this is a good lineup. And if you go back to September of last year, I think they were 2nd or 3rd in WRC plus. I'm sure they're top 3 or 4 right now. I haven't checked it after today's game. We're going on about, what are we at? How many games? 96 so far this year, 51 and 45, and 20 in September. So, 115 games of this being a top 5 offense in baseball. Like, they're good. They're just good. Yes, they're never going to lead the league in runs scored. T-Mobile is just not the ballpark to do that in. But they are good. Are they going to be streaky? Yes, but most offenses are. Like, if you just look around the league every night, even the best offenses, the Yankees struggle at times. The Dodgers have trouble scoring runs at times. Baseball is hard. The best hitters are hitting. J.P. Crawford's the best average hitter they have that's qualified. Because I know this is kind of old school thinking, but like his batting average is 290. He's only going to get a hit at 29% of the time. Like, it's hard to hit in this league. If the pitching can just get going, and I feel like it's close, it's been better. Now, this series, let's talk about the starting pitching. I thought Luis Castillo was solid on Friday. Just another gutsy, gritty veteran start from Castillo. He has been dominant at home, not quite as dominant on the road. I do think he maybe should have been pulled after 5 innings there, and he would have left with just the 1 earned run as opposed to the 3. But also, like, the Riley Green triple was on Friday, wasn't hit all that hard. It was more of a fly ball that just kind of fell in. If that's caught, that changes the outing a little bit. And to go toe-to-toe with Tarek Skubal twice and beat him, Castillo deserves some credit. I thought he was solid. Kirby was so close yesterday, struggled in the first inning, but did a good job to limit the damage. And truthfully, that play at the plate probably should have been made with a better throw by Randy yesterday. And then just before getting the last out, allows Riley Green to hit the 3-run home run. Listen, Riley Green's really good, right? He's a great hitter. He's going to the All-Star game for a reason. He's sitting there with a 879 OPS. Fantastic player. But it seems like that's kind of been trouble for a lot of the pitchers, including Kirby. They're 1 out away from 5 innings, 1 earned run. Then they get the 3-run homer, and it makes the start look bad. I mean, for innings 2 through 4 there, and even for the first 2 outs in the 5th, Kirby was dialed in. But, you got to get better at finishing those starts. Logan Gilbert today, I thought Logan threw the ball well. He did. The first inning, you had the Luke Raley error. Logan has to be better, right? He's still got to be able to get out of that with 2 outs there and find a way. And then, he didn't go 6. He didn't get the quality start. He was also squeezed in his last at-bat when he faced McKinstry. He had a couple pitches there that were called a ball that were strikes. If he gets those, he probably does go 6 today. It was hot out there in Detroit, humid. I thought Logan threw the ball pretty well. I mean, his final line today is 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, none earned, 2 walks, 9 Ks. We just need Logan to go deeper into the games. The walk rate is great. The strikeout rate's fantastic. Everything around Logan's outings is great. It's just like, can't really finish them. And he's got to find a way. Doesn't have to throw 7 innings every start, but we do need some 6, 7 inning starts out of Logan Gilbert. The good news is both Logan and Kirby are absolutely capable of that. So, I mean, this is a team, and I know Friday morning I was ranting and raving. Listen, I'm a fan. I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to have reactions. And this team is so like this. It's hard. I don't know. Guys, gals, I don't have the answers. Maybe they blow it. But what if this rotation gets going in the second half? What if this rotation in the second half pitches like the first half last year? Along with this offense, this team is really dangerous. It is. Now, it can be really dangerous the other way because we've seen this team when it's poor and it's frustrating. So it's in them to go both ways, but there is capabilities there for a really strong second half. The bullpen struggled on this road trip. There is no doubt about it. It was good on Friday. They got the job done. Listen, I thought Trent Thornton threw the ball well yesterday, and Thornton, outside of that Arizona game, has been pretty solid since coming back from the injured list. He's pitching more like the guy from a couple years ago. Part of me wants to give the bullpen a little pass for yesterday because I have no idea why Dan went back to Bizzardo on back-to-back days there. Bizzardo looked gassed. He almost blew it there with the 6-run lead. I just think it should have been Legumina in that spot, or even go to Brash, get the series win, and get out of there. And then Brash pitched well, and then, Taylor Saucedo, who's up for Logan Evans, actually looked really solid. I thought Saucedo threw the ball well in his 1 inning yesterday, but it was with an 8-run lead, so who knows? Looked good yesterday. Today's bullpen outing was interesting. Brash was outstanding. Munoz closed it out. Love going to Munoz there. Right call. You got the All-Star break coming up. Finish it. Legumina was fine. He ends up getting tagged with an earned run. Ben Williamson made a great play on that grounder by Javi Baez. Probably saved a double or a triple. Spire with kind of another weird outing, right? Because Javi Baez reaches, and then I think it was Jones grounds out. Baez took off on the pitch, so he gets into second. It could have been a double play had Baez not been running. I don't know. I think Jones runs well enough. They don't turn that. But it certainly would have kept a runner at first. Then the stolen base where Spire's just not even looking. Now, Gabe Spire's got to be somewhat better at holding a runner on there. I get that's a tough spot there, but he's at least got to try to hold the runner on. But then you get the stolen base and Torres hits a sac fly and it's tied. I mean, Spire didn't really do anything wrong there. He didn't put the base runner on. He got a ground out and a fly out. We got 2 outs. Just happened to be that a runner was moving all over the place while this happened. But then he gives up the home run to Riley Green, who is really good, but isn't known as necessarily a lefty masher, just his second home run off a lefty this season. So, I don't know. The bullpen is capable, but you're always looking for extra arms in the bullpen. I do think it's a place this team needs to add. You're not going to turn the bullpen if you think it's mediocre into great, but another arm there just to kind of bridge the gap. I still think another lefty. Maybe it's Saucedo. Maybe he comes back and pitches more like he did in 23. or maybe it's a Gregory Soto from Baltimore. I've mentioned that name a ton of times. We'll see. But I do think bullpen help will be something that this team does need to look at. I mean, just what a fantastic, fantastic series for the Seattle Mariners. Cannot say it enough. The resiliency to come back after that Yankees game is incredible. To do it, like I said, against Casey Mize, against Tarek Skubal, against the Tigers bullpen that has been really solid this year. 35 runs in 3 games, just incredible. And as only the Mariners can do. On Friday morning, I was looking forward to the All-Star break. And now I'm sitting here Sunday night going, man, I want some baseball tomorrow. Only the Mariners can do that to you. Enjoy the All-Star break. By the way, standings-wise, Mariners are a game and a half up on a playoff spot. Boston really knocked around Tampa Bay. Boston's on fire. They've won 10, 11 in a row. They have passed the Mariners for the second wild card, but the Mariners do hold the third wild card. Boston's schedule is brutal after the break, so it wouldn't shock me if they do hit a little bit of a snag. So the Mariners are a game and a half up on a playoff spot, which is really good. They still play Tampa 6 times, so that can change things there. And Texas is still hanging around, Kansas City, the Angels, as well, Minnesota. And they're 5 back in the American League West, which I already touched on. So listen, there are 66 games to go. Seattle Mariners hold a playoff spot. And I know I'm not telling anybody that there haven't been moments that should frustrate you. There absolutely have. I've been there. You watched the video on Friday. Not telling you guys that you were wrong for being frustrated. But there's been a lot of years where we would have killed for this. This doesn't mean that ownership's like, oh, thank them. And oh my goodness, I think, everybody in the front office deserves tons of credit. Like they deserve some credit for some things and some blame for others. We'll get into that more as an off-season video. But this team is holding down a playoff spot right now. There's a lot of teams that would trade places with the Mariners at 51 and 45. They're holding a playoff spot with an offense that has been really good and a pitching staff with the talent to be much, much better than it has been. There is a chance this is a really fun second half of the season. Cal's chasing history. Looks like Julio might be locked in here a little bit. Let's hope that continues through the break. Probably going to have Brian Wu or Logan Gilbert going, to start the second half. Start it off right. Maybe Castillo, get it going, get some W's, and let's keep it rolling here. Let's have a fun second half. Again, none of that's to say that the frustrations aren't valid. You guys saw my video on Friday. But this team is, we would, a lot of years we would have liked to have been in this position. So let's enjoy it. Let's hope the second half is as crazy as the first half. I will be back to nightly recaps starting on Friday with the post game. I might members go live for the All-Star game. We'll hang out, watch it together for a little bit, see if Cal can do something special. So be on the lookout for that. Have a great night, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, which I don't think I said in the beginning. I don't even think, did I do the what's going on, everybody? Did I even do that? I don't remember. But like, comment, subscribe. And as always, and here's to a good second half. Go Mariners. Peace.